السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته أحبائي الطلاب والطالبات. لقاء اليوم يخص تمرينات المحاضرة الخامسة، وهي تمرينات متجاوبة أصلا ونموذج الإجابة موجود معاكم، لكن إحنا جايين علشان نعرف أسباب الإجابة فقط. فاستعينوا بالله سبحانه وتعالى، ويعني خدوا بالأسباب واكتبوا ورايا. يعني مثلا هيقابلنا مفردات تروح انت كاتبها، قابلنا قاعدة حلوة كده تروح انت موقف الفيديو وكاتب ورايا. الجملة رقم 1 بيقول It's a very popular and picturesque tourist attraction. هتستفاد من الجملة دي كلمة popular محبوب، كلمة picturesque معناها attractive خلاب، كلمة tourist attraction معناها عامل من عوامل الجذب السياحي. بيقول which question can suit this answer. أنهي سؤال ممكن يوافق جملة زي كده؟ فتكتشف إن السؤال اللي ممكن يوافق جملة زي كده السؤال اللي اسمه how do you find it. سؤال how do you find it ده مش معناه انت بتجده ازاي، يعني انت كأن حاجة ضايعة وانت لقيتها، لا لا لا. كيف تجده دي معناها كيف تراه من منظورك، يعني what's your opinion about it. ومن ضمن الجمال بتاع السؤال ده انك انت ترد على طول وتقول I find it interesting, I find it attractive, I find it picturesque، او على طول تقول it's attractive, it's interesting. If I ask you now, how do you find English? You can say, I find it interesting. I find it difficult. براحتك بقى. سؤال رقم 2 بيقول my brother hardly ever helps. اشمعنى hardly ever helps؟ باختصار كلمة hardly إما أن ترتبط بverb وإما أن ترتبط بnoun. فلو ارتبطت بverb يبقى ممكن تخش على الفيرب مباشرة تقول hardly helps، أو ترتبط ب hardly ever والفيرب. ولو ارتبطت بناون هيبقى معاك كلمة اسمها any. يبقى باختصار كده hardly مرتبطة يا إما بverb يا إما بناون، بس تسبق الفيرب وتسبق الناون. فتقول there is hardly any water، لكن تستطيع أن تقول I hardly ever do my homework. أنا يعني بالعافية لما بعمل الواجب بتاعي. الجملة اللي بعدها remember to، هي في الأصل اسمها remember to، لكن وجود كلمة always في الجملة، فكلمة always و usually و sometimes اسمها adverbs of frequency، معناها ظروف التكرار اللي هي زي always و usually و sometimes و never و rarely و occasionally. دي اسمها adverbs of frequency. Where can we use them? You use them before the main verb or after am, is, are, was, were. If you have verb to be am, is, are, was, were, you say is always, was always. But if you have a main verb like act, like give, play, you say always give, always play. So you must use this choice to always act, because always comes before act, and remember must take the preposition to. Everyone looked impressed by her way of explanation. كلمة impressed مختلفة عن كلمة impressive. فكلمة impressed معناها منبهر، لكن impressive تأخذ معناها مبهر. وأنت تتحدث عن الأشخاص كأنهم كانوا منبهرين بطريقة شرحها، أي أن طريقة شرحها was impressive، والناس اللي كانت تسمع الشرح ده كانوا impressed by her way of explanation. كلمة look اللي قدامك دي فعل معناه يبدو، فتقول everyone seemed أو everyone looked impressed، وكده كده بعدها adjective، فتبقى impressed معناها منبهر، impressive معناها مبهر. speaking English fluently من المؤكد إن هي لازم تبقى fluent، وذلك لأنك بتتكلم على الverb اللي هو speak. if you want to describe a verb you must use an adverb. You say I speak English fluently, I speak English well. But you must know that the adverb doesn't come between the verb and the object. You can't say speaking fluently English. This is wrong. You must say speaking fluent English or speaking English fluently. The audience clapped. How did the audience clap? They clapped enthusiastically. What part of speech is this word? This word is an adverb, and it comes to describe the verb clap. The audience clapped enthusiastically. How did they clapped enthusiastically? These kinds of adverbs like enthusiastically, like fluently, like politely, like well, these adverbs are called adverbs of manner. They answer the question how. If we say she speaks politely, we can say how does she speak? Then you can answer and say she speaks politely. How did you do in the exam? I did badly. These adverbs are called adverbs of manner, the way you did the action. Yes. Are you about football? Verb to be means you have an adjective here. So, are you enthusiastic about football? Yes, enthusiastic means full of energy, means keen on doing something, interested greatly in doing something. Ahmed hardly goes for a walk. Go for a walk. Go for, use a noun, but just go, use a gerund. If we say Ahmed hardly goes walking, but goes for a walk, hardly is one word of the negative adverbs. This is a negative adverb, so the question tag must be affirmative. This is the verb goes, so we can take the question tag from does. Why is it affirmative, not negative? Because the sentence itself is negative. Does he? The children are playing outdoors, outside the house. The underlined word is an adverb of, I think the underlined word, which I forgot, is this one. Is an adverb of place. Outdoors means outside the house, and any word tells you about the place is called an adverb of place. You can say, I'm at home. At home is an adverb of place. She's here. Here is an adverb of place. She's outside the house. Outside is an adverb of place. So the children are playing outdoors. If you want to ask, you can say, where are the children playing? You say, they are playing outdoors. My sister plays the piano. You can say, my sister plays the piano well, because you want to describe the verb plays. You can't say, my sister plays the piano good, but you say well. So if we want to use a comparison with the adverb, we use as well as, not as good as. Good is an adjective, well is an adverb. Ahmed for work. This is what I said before, that if you have an adverb of frequency, like rarely, usually, always, sometimes, or never, you use it before the main verb or after to be. So we have verb to be here because the word late is an adjective. So we say Ahmed is late. Where can we use the adverb of frequency here? You can use it after verb to be. Hardworking students achieve their goals. This sentence depends on the meaning. Hardworking students are those who work hard, who want to achieve their goals. Hardworking students certainly achieve their goals. This means that the adverb can come before the verb or after the verb. Okay, achieve their goals certainly, or certainly achieve their goals. Certainly means for sure. How are you at English? Why do we choose God and leave the choice well or perfectly? This is because verb to be is here. And if you have verb to be, this means that you are talking about an adjective, not an adverb. You say, she is beautiful, but you can't say she is beautifully. So if we have verb to be, this means that you are dealing with an adjective. So you say, how good are you at English? But if you want to say well or perfectly, you can say, How did you do? How well did you do? How perfectly did you do? Let's say I did well. Or how well do you study English? How well do you do at English? Say I do well. I do well. I do perfectly. Talking about a verb, use an adverb. If you have verb to be, use an adjective. Can you do it? The main reason here is that you have a verb, so you must use an adverb. It's differently. How did she fail such an easy exam? How did she fail such an easy exam? How? It was an easy exam, and how did she fail it? This means that we deduce that she can't have studied for it at all. Can't have studied is a deduction, but in the negative form. But if we want to talk about the affirmative form, that you are certain, near certain that something happened, you say she must have studied for it. Must have studied, this is affirmative. This means that she studied. But can't have studied for it at all means she didn't study for it at all. Both work and family are important. You have verb to be here for the adjective important here, but if you want to describe the adjective itself, you use an adverb. So the adverb can describe the verb, the adverb can describe another adjective, the adverb can describe another adverb. The adverb can come with the past participle of the verb and form a compound adjective. 17. Which of these sentences doesn't contain an adverb? He asks you about the adverb. Which of the sentence doesn't contain an adverb? So you have to read the four choices, read them carefully, read them well to find whether it has an adverb or not. The child was ran happily towards his mother. This is an adverb, so the first one is not our choice. He whispered and quietly said, "Forgive me, it's my mistake." Quietly said, this means that this is an adverb. And one place of the adverb is that it can come before the verb or after the verb. Quietly said, we could say he whispered and said quietly. Yes, we can say that. She whispered and said quietly, "Forgive me." Or he whispered. Whispered means spoke in a low voice. Whispered. He whispered and quietly said, "Forgive me, it's my mistake." We have an adverb here, so this is not our choice. Yesterday I ran into an old friend. Yesterday I ran into an old friend. This sentence has an adverb. Don't worry, this is an adverb. Yesterday, this is an adverb of time. So adverbs are not restricted to a word ending in ly, but there are many kinds of adverbs like yesterday, today, tomorrow, here, there, quickly, and so on. Yesterday I ran into an old friend. Ran into means came across, meet by chance, meet by accident. So the sentence which doesn't have an adverb is this one. Money doesn't bring happiness. Money is the subject, which is a noun. Doesn't bring, this is a verb, which is a negative form. Happiness is a noun. We don't have an adverb here. Clever students always are off their tie. You can be tricked if you say the best. Most students, the majority of students say, "Do the best." Yes, do the best. No, you say do the best without the word use after it. But if you have use, you can describe it with good. So you say make use of, make good use of, make good use of. But you say do the best without the word use. Sorry for is a preposition, and any preposition must be followed by either a noun or a gerund. Sorry for interruption, but I want to say something important. Interruption, when you interrupt someone, you come suddenly into his speech. He's talking and you come suddenly into his speech, so you interrupt this person. This person apologizes for interrupting the other one. So he says, sorry for interruption, but I want to say something important. The prisoner was given a life sentence. This is a word, life sentence. He will stay in prison for the rest of his life. 21. Careful he is. If we want to express contrast at the beginning of a sentence, but you have an adjective or adverb after it, use however. However is followed by an adjective or adverb, then subject, verb. You say, however beautiful she is, however hard he tried. If you start with however, you must have an adjective or an adverb after it, then use subject and the verb. However careful he is. Yes, that's right. By the end of next year, this means that you are talking about future. But the road to my town is not a subject, it's an object. So you have to use the passive form. By the end of next year, when we come to the next year, this road will have been paved. Paved means prepared to be used. Which of the following is used to reflect contrast? To talk about contrast, to talk about contrast, to reflect contrast, to show contrast. Contrast means something opposite. Opposite ideas are contrast. Ahmed doesn't read stories because he has no free time. There is no contrast in the first sentence. This is reason. In addition to reading, I like swimming. There is no contrast, but there is addition. While Ahmed likes reading, I prefer swimming. This is contrast because Ahmed likes something different from what I prefer. Amir, as well as Ahmed, likes. This sentence needs S here. Please add it. Because the verb goes with the first subject, and both subjects are singular. Amir as well as Ahmed likes reading. This is right. This is addition, not contrast. 24. Which of the following is punctuated correctly? Punctuation marks are necessary to understand English. Without them, we can misunderstand a lot of things. So, do you have sugar-free cookies, Huda? Cookies is a noun and sugar-free is an adjective, but this is a kind of compound adjective which must have a hyphen between its parts. Yes, sugar-free, there is no hyphen to connect it together to form the compound adjective, so we can't use it. It's wrongly punctuated. Do you have sugar-free cookies, Huda? This is a hyphen. He used the hyphen here, but he forgot that this is a question. He used the full stop at the end, and this is something wrong. Do you have sugar-free? There is no hyphen here. It can't be a comma, but it must be a hyphen, and the comma must be before the name. Do you have sugar-free cookies, Huda? Yes, this is the correct one. Role models. Who are role models? Role models are those who you look up to. Role models are people you love most, and they are the source of your inspiration. You want to be like them. You look up to them and respect them. You want to be like them. So you can have a role model in life, like a famous doctor, like your father. Your father may be your role model. If your father is a hardworking person, you can take your father, your role model, and the source of your inspiration. Your role models are always sources of inspiration. Yes, that's right. Why don't we use proud? Because proud is an adjective, If it is pride, it would be right. But we say proud is an adjective. After preposition, we don't use an adjective, but prepositions give you either a noun or a gerund. Do you know makes someone successful? Do you know what makes someone successful? Make object, you must have adjective or infinitive without to. Do you know what makes someone successful? If the answer, let's look at the answer. Of course, it's determination. So determination is what makes someone successful. Determination is the thing which makes someone successful. We are asking about determination, which makes people successful. So we say, do you know the thing which makes people successful? If we say the thing that makes people successful, the thing which equals what? Never let people's negative comments discourage you from. Discourage you from. Discourage from. Discourage from. Why don't we use to stop? There is a difference between stop and to stop. Never let people's negative comments to stop. To stop means to start doing something. Okay? To stop. Don't let people's negative comments to stop you from doing what you are convinced of. Why don't we use affects to use all answers? We have let. Look at let. This is what prevented us from S and prevented us from to. We can't use let with S. We can't use it with to. But we use it with infinitive without to, infinitive without to. So S here is wrong. To here is wrong. So we use discourage from. Discourage takes the preposition from, but encourage takes the preposition to. Discourage from with gerund, but encourage to with infinitive. And both need an object. She had polio as a child and spent the rest of her life in a wheelchair. Wheelchair is something that disabled people use instead of their legs. They can't walk. So they go to places and do things on wheelchairs. Those who use wheelchairs suffer from a disease called polio. Those who fail to use their legs, those who are disabled, those who can't walk on their legs suffer from a disease called polio. Those shoes by my grandfather when he was alive. Those shoes by my grandfather, those shoes are an object. They are not a subject. Those shoes used to use, this is wrong because the shoes weren't the subject which used to use. But the shoes were the object which used to be used. Yes, used to be used. I'm not used to. I'm not used to, this means that you are going to have gerund. But the gerund is divided into two parts. The gerund may talk about a subject and may talk about an object. If you are talking about a subject, use directly the gerund. But if you talk about an object, use being plus past participle of the verb. Look at the sentence carefully. Does the speaker talk about a subject? I'm not used to laughing at. Imagine that we are going to use laughing at. I will ask you, laugh at whom? Laugh at what? There is no object that you are going to laugh at. So the object is here. I'm not used to being laughed at. The person who is going to be laughed at is me. Yes, so I'm not used to that. I'm not used to being laughed at by people. Question 31. I was in the habit of sleeping with lights on. Yes, This was my habit. I was in the habit of sleeping with the lights on. This means that I used to do that. That's right, I used to sleep with the lights on. I used to sleep with the lights on because it was my habit. A lot of houses collapse. Why don't we use are collapsed, were collapsed? This verb can't be used in the passive. It's intransitive verb. And intransitive verbs are those which can't be followed by an object. And if any verb is not followed by an object, don't use it in the passive. A lot of houses collapse because of earthquakes. Yesterday's accident is believed to. Yesterday's accident is believed to. Let's arrange it like this. Yesterday's accident is believed to because of breakneck speed. Breakneck speed means speed which can destroy someone. Yes, breakneck. Destructive speed. Rash. Yesterday's accident is believed to have happened. Why? Because you have a word which is not it. So, verb to be past participle 1 and 2, if you remember. A word which is different from it, 1, 2, you have 2 here, 2, infinitive, or have plus past participle of the verb, only if you are talking about the past. So we are talking about the past. We say to have happened. Why don't we use to be happen? To happen is a verb which doesn't come in the passive. An person is one who spends large sums of money more than it should be. Yes, this is a person. If he has money, he spends all his money. If he has just £1, he spends that pound. If he has £1,000, he spends £1,000. Extravagant person. Extravagant person. An extravagant person is one who spends large sums of money. Extravagant, the person who is spendthrift, who spends everything in his hand, is called extravagant. Are you for or against? Against or for are prepositions, and prepositions must have gerund or nouns. Are you for or against experimenting on animals? Experimenting, doing experiments on animals. Examining our theories on animals. Experimenting on animals means doing experiments on animals. All my sons of Cairo University. You can use the preposition of with the verb, with the word graduate, only if it's a noun. But if you use graduate as a verb, you use it with from. You say, I graduated from Cairo University. This means that I am a graduate of Cairo University. 37. The beach. You say, while on the beach. Yes, while on the beach. Because why don't we use while walking? You need the preposition on here and on here. But you can't say while the beach. No, while the beach. No. While walking on the beach, while I was on the beach, these choices can't be used without a preposition, so this one is right. While on the beach means while I was on the beach. You can use a preposition after while, not after during. Most students of the faculties of law or the faculties of medicine work as interns. Yes, when you graduate from your faculty, you go to a place, you go to an office. If you are a graduate of a faculty of medicine, you are going to be a doctor, but you have to spend some time training first to apply what you have learned. This is called an internship. And you are an intern. So most students of faculties of law, those who become lawyers, Faculties of medicines, those who become doctors work as interns. In every large company or organization, there is a department called, yes, there is a section in the company called human resources. HR, human resources, this is HR, which is responsible for finding people to work. Yes, human resources. Curriculum vitae, or curriculum vitae, or curriculum vitae. All these the ways of pronouncing this word. Curriculum vitae, curriculum vitae, curriculum vitae. This is the CV, but you don't know. Curriculum vitae, this is what you need when you want to apply for a job. You need curriculum vitae. The United Nations is an organization. So organizations and the names of books, stories are dealt with as singular. The United Nations has adopted a support program for poor countries recently. Has adopted. Why do we use has adopted? Why don't we use is adopted? Because the United Nations is the subject, it's not the object which is adopted. The program is the object which is adopted by the United Nations or has been adopted by the United Nations. Why don't we use have? Because we deal with the United Nations as the name of an organization which is singular. We can't use have. Why don't we use adopts? Because you have a word which says recently. Recently is a sign of present perfect, the action that happened but it has an effect at the present time. I visit my grandparents every Friday. I do that on a regular basis. This is an idiom which means regularly. Retirement isn't the end of contribution. If you reach the retirement age, this is the age when you leave your job because your age has come to the age of not working. So you have to retire. People who retire, this means that they have become 60, for example, in Egypt. People in Egypt retire means leave work at the age of 60. Retirement isn't the end of contribution, but the sentence is great because it says retirement isn't the end of contribution. Even you are a retired man, you can make contributions to your society. One can reinvent. You have the subject one, and one is a special one. Yes. One is a special one. One has everything connected with one. If you are talking about reflexive pronoun, you use oneself. From. This means that we are going to deal with apart from. Apart from means with the exception of, means except for. Yes, means without, but without a preposition, without physics. Without physics. Apart from physics. Apart from physics. I enjoy all subjects, but physics, not. Although this song was written 100 years ago, this song is old. It was written 100 years ago. A lot of young men enjoy singing it. Oh, there is contrast. This is, although it talks about something in the past, so we have a contrast here to talk about the present. The word which talks about the present is contemporary. Contemporary means modern, nowadays. Mr. Ahmed's YouTube channel is to educational purposes, is dedicated to. This means that it's for educational purposes. It's made just for that. It's dedicated to educational purposes. Dedicate to is followed by a noun or gerund. Parents are the main pillars of each family. pillars here means the main parts of the family. They are the supporters of the family. Parents are pillars. Yes, not column. Column, use this word column in a newspaper. For example, newspapers are divided into columns. You don't pronounce the letter N. Don't say column. No. Don't say that, but say column. Column. Column is part of a newspaper or the column of the house. Your flat is built on 10 columns. Yes. The ancient Egyptians used a certain substance to preserve the bodies, to keep them. Yes. To preserve means to keep. The most popular in London is the British Museum. The British Museum is the tourist attraction. Why don't we use picturesque? Why don't we use remains? We don't use remains because the verb is and it's singular. If we say the most popular remains in London, we would say are so and so. The British Museum, and we must add something else. We can't say picturesque because picturesque is an adjective and popular is an adjective, and we can't use adjectives without nouns. The most popular tourist attraction. Tourist attraction is a noun which is popular. The of a river or canal are the areas along it. The areas along any river or any canal are called the banks of the river. The area along the river is called the bank of the river. But we don't say the bank of money. No. Banks of the rivers are different from banks where we deal with money. The sentence 50, I think this is enough today. I want to give me your comments. If my explanation in English is okay with you or not. If not, I will come back to parts of Arabic. If it is okay, I will complete explaining in English. Please leave your comments. Thank you. Goodbye.